Okay, we're finishing, or at least this tape, we're in chapter 8, we're going to do another budget. It's on page 392, it's exercise A2. And this time they're going to ask us just one thing, and they're required. They want us to make a production budget. The production budget is really one of the first things you're going to do after you make, the sales budget is first. And then after you know what you're going to sell, you're usually going to make your production budget. There's some other little budgets in there. Usually you do your sales budget, then you do your selling and administrative expense budget, and then you do your production budget right here. And along with that, we'll do an ending inventory budget. But they're asking us just to do one thing, production budget. And this is for a company that's name is Down Under Products, and they're in Australia. And this is budgeted, this is sales. These again are budgeted sales. And these are budgeted. And they're basically saying, okay, there's our sales, but we want to know, what do you have to produce? It says the company, by the way, if they didn't have inventories, this would be done. If a company said, we're not going to carry any inventories, we're going to produce and sell the same thing, then you're done. That's it, 50, 75, 90. What's going to introduce complexity into this is many companies will say, well, yeah, we're going to sell 50, but go ahead and make 51 or 52, make a little extra. Well, if you make a little extra, that means you got a little extra left over. So you got to take into account the extra you want to make, and the extra you got left over, and subtract them. One of them is called desired ending inventory. One of them is called beginning inventory, and they make this computation harder. And most companies, again, do have some inventory, so we're going to have to take that into account. It said the company is now in the process of preparing the production budget for the second quarter, January, February, March, April, May, June. And it is showing that end of the month inventory levels must be 10%. All right, 10%, that's what they want. 10%, in other words, they're saying, when we get done with this month, we want to have carry 10% of what? Of the following month. Of the following month unit sales. And that makes sense, because they're saying, well, we're getting ready for the next month. Let's make an extra few in case this month is what? A very popular month for boomerangs. By the way, that's what this company makes. Down Under Products makes boomerangs. If you don't know what a boomerang is, it's a wooden device with a very sharp blade, and they throw it, and it'll chop the head off an alligator, and then they can go eat the alligator. And if they get a crazy kangaroo or one that's got rabies, they'll use the boomerang to, again, chop the head off of a crazy kangaroo. Very effective weapon down in Australia. Anyway, you can ask an Australian about that. They'll confirm my description of what that device is used for. But don't play with these. They'll cut your hand right off. You go to catch it, it's gone. Anyway, so they're making boomerangs, and they want 10% of next month's production as an ending inventory. It says the inventory at the end of March, okay, we will need that. At the end of March, that was the preceding. We're what? April, May, June, or hold it. We want April, May, and June. That's the second quarter. This is the second quarter, but they did give us March, and they said the ending inventory was 5,000 units. All right, so how do we do this? Well, again, if you're going to do, I took the liberty to go ahead and put up our title, Down Under Products, Production Budget by Month, second quarter of 2019. Second quarter is April, May, June. And again, to start a production budget, you just simply say sales, because you're going to make what you sell. And take 50, 75, and 90. So in April, 50,000 boomerangs, 75,000 boomerangs, 90,000 boomerangs. So that's a total of, I don't know, we got 125, 225, 215,000 boomerangs in that quarter. So we cross-flip. Now, that would be it. We would be done, except this causes us all kinds of problems. They tell us that we want to carry some extra inventory. So we're going to have to say, we're going to call this desired ending inventory. And remember, it's 10%. It's 10% of the following month's sales. So let's go 10%. In April, 10% would be the following month's sales, 75. So that's 7,500. We want to have an extra 7,500 boomerangs. In May, we want 10% of the following month, so that's June. So we need 9,000 extra boomerangs. And in June, we need 10% of July. They did give us July, right? Yeah, there it is. Let's take 10% of July. 10% of July is going to be 8,000. So we have 8,000 boomerangs. Now let's add those up, and we'll call that, and this is what they really do call it, they'll call this total production needs. Total production, let's just call it total production. I don't want to put the words needs. Total production. And I don't really like that I put that too high. We'll just call that total production. And total production is 57,500, 84,000 boomerangs, and 98,000 boomerangs. Now, you'd be done there, except because of that ending inventory problem. In other words, we know we're going to sell 50,000. We know that we want an ending inventory of 7,500 boomerangs. So we're going to make 57,500. But remember, in April, you're going to be coming from May. And May, you would have had some boomerangs left over. Once you introduce inventory, you're going to end a month with inventory, but you're going to begin a month with inventory. And you don't want to make what you've already got. You don't want to make what you've already got. So let's go back. What would we have had? Let's go back and we're going to say less beginning inventory. And the beginning inventory of any month is the ending inventory from the previous month. Well, that's going to be easy to get for some of these. Let's just do it. The ending inventory of April will become the beginning inventory of May. Put a little dots there. The ending inventory of May will become the beginning inventory of June. And you don't want to make those, so let's take them out. These are subtractions. The ending inventory of March will be the beginning inventory of April. What's the beginning inventory of March? They told us it was 5,000 units. We could have gotten it anyway, because 10,000 of 50,000, 10% of 50,000 is 5,000, but they told us that. That would have come from, again, March. Now let's subtract that, and now we'll have actually the real answer here. Let's put it this way. This is units to be produced. We're really going to make these. And this is going to be what? 52,000. Take the 5,000 out, 52,500 boomerangs. It's going to be, I don't know what that is going to be, for 76,500, I think. And 9 from 98, 88, 89,000, I think. Now, this is kind of hard if you're on the test, because this will crossfoot. And if we crossfoot this, I don't know what we get, but let's do crossfoot it. And it's about what? 89, 76, 52.5, 200,000 or 300,000 there. Let's see, 218,000. 218,000 boomerangs. We are going to make, for the first quarter, 218,000 boomerangs. Now, you might have noticed, you might have said, why didn't you fill these in? Well, they're actually a little bit more complex. These will not crossfoot, because some numbers cannot be crossfooted. Some numbers, again, you would be double counting. Let me give you an example of that real quick. Let me, again, just go over to here real quick and show you what I mean. If I told you you had $1, let's say these are years. At the end of 2018, 2019, and 2020, you had $1 in 2018, and you never touched it. It's in the bank. So you have $1 in 2019. You have $1 in 2020. The dollar from 2018 becomes the beginning dollar in 2019. It becomes the ending dollar in 2019. It's the beginning dollar in 2020, and it's the ending dollar in 2020. Can we add these and conclude that we've got $3? Absolutely not. This is the same dollar traveling through time. We cannot add inventories. This is $1. It is an inventory. It exists physically. And you cannot count, as you move through time, time does not allow you to say, I'll count the same thing twice. You've got to say, hold it, where am I at in time to discern a number? And then over here we have to do that. You cannot add inventories. If you do add inventories, you'll double count. Let me see if I got this right. Okay, that's about right. Remember, we're making boomerangs, and they're dangerous. I'll kill you in a second. All right, can we take this inventory, and this Indian inventory, this is Indian, and add them across? No, because we already know the inventories are traveling through. They're commingled with other units, so no, you can't do it. In fact, we can really say in time, for this quarter, in time, what is the desired Indian inventory, the total? And this is the total for what? The second quarter. And the second quarter ends, when does the second quarter end? It ends June 30th. That's when this ends, June 30th. On June 30th, what do you want the inventory to be? That's it, 8,000. You cannot add those. They're traveling through. These Indian inventories can be inside that 8. If you did count this, just like over there, you'd be double counting that dollar. Time, these are the same dollar, or these are the same units, but they're again, these are in time. So again, by the way, they're traveling through here, all right? Now, if we do take 215 and add it to 8, we will get the total production needs of 223,000. Now, can we subtract? Can we take all these beginning inventories and add them up? No, you can't do that either. These are points of time. At the beginning, what is, for this column here, this is the quarter. What's the beginning of the quarter? The beginning of the quarter is April 1st. What was the inventory on April 1st? On April 1st, the inventory was $5,000. Or 5,000, actually, these are units, right? These are boomerangs, yeah, 5,000 units. So take the 5,000 out, and don't you tie out? 5,000 from 223 gives you 218. Now it cross-foots and foots. Once again, none of these inner numbers will do what? They're not cross-footable. This isn't cross-footable. These 3 will not cross-foot, and these 3 will not cross-foot, because all of these numbers have inventories in them. But now, at least you can tie out if you know how to handle those inventories. This is a production budget, and I think I'll put one of these on the test too. And I just want to check it against my key before we sign off here. Let me see, 52.5 is what I got on my key here. 76.5, 89, 218. This is 215, add the 8, 223 minus 5, yeah, everything looks good. So again, we're going to make 218,000 boomerangs, and again, that's for the first quarter. That's interesting, I've never had it go out like that. I wonder if that's because I just blew out a bulb, I sure hope not. Anyway, we're done with, I believe that's all they asked us to do for exercise 8.2. So we'll stop there. We still have exercise 8.3 and 8.4 to do in this chapter, and after that we'll be done with chapter 8. All right, we're continuing chapter 8. I should be able to finish it pretty quickly, well, maybe in 20 minutes, but we're still in chapter 8, which we're working on budgets. This is on page 392, and we're going to work exercise 8.3. And exercise 8.3 is another budget. Actually, we've done one. We did a similar budget to this. They're going to ask us to do a materials purchases budget. And we did do that in that foundational problem. So this will be similar to what we've already done. And I think, let me see, this one will be much more involved though. This one will be, we're going to have to do a much bigger, we're going to have to do a whole year. I believe in the foundational problem, they only made us do 1 month. Anyway, this is a problem on a company, it's called Mink Caress, and that's what they make, is Mink Caress is a perfume. And anyway, they've got a budget here that they've got the first, the second, and the third, and the fourth quarter, and these are the budgeted production. They're going to build or make 60,000 bottles in the first quarter, 90,000 bottles in the second, third quarter 150, and fourth quarter 100,000. That's all in year 2. But then in year 3, in the beginning, in the first quarter of year 3, they're going to make 70,000 bottles. Now remember, this is not what they're going to sell. Most of the time they make more than they're going to sell, because again, they're building a little bit in there for ending inventories for the next month. So this is, again, do you realize too, this came from the production budget. They've already done a production budget. Again, that's what this is basically. They've done a production budget, and here it is. They're asking us for Mink Caress, would you go ahead and prepare the materials that we're going to need? Not the bottles that we're going to produce, it's perfume. Not the bottles that we're going to produce, but the actual, how much material. And let's go back and see. It takes 3 grams of musk oil, and that's what they need for each bottle of Mink Caress. It says it's a small company in Siberia. I'm pretty sure in Siberia they too like to use the boomerang. Anyway, the cost for the musk oil is $1.50 per gram. So again, let's get that. It's $1.50 per gram to buy musk oil, and it says, again, they need 3 grams. Let's just write that in there. They need 3 grams of musk oil for every bottle. It does say musk oil has become very popular perfume. It's actually the name of the perfume is Mink Caress, but musk oil, that's the main, and I actually think there's validity in this. I think they do use musk oil. They use a lot of those musk scents to make perfumes. But it's become so popular that, again, they also, it says that they have to maintain an inventory of 20%. That's important too. Again, 20%. What they're saying is they have to maintain an inventory of 20% of the following quarter's production needs. Let's focus on that. What they're saying is, again, we have to maintain this musk oil. It's hard to get, so we have to actually have extra. Anytime we end a quarter or month, we need 20% of next month or next quarter's production needs. And we have to build up an inventory of musk oil. So with that in mind, let's go ahead. I've transferred this over here. This is, again, I already set up this because it'd take me a long time, but Mink Caress Materials Purchases Budget. It's for the year, it's for a year, but by quarter. It's year 2 that we're working on, as you can see right here. First quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter. Does it make sense that I would put it by quarter and then do total? And then I happen to know, because I've done these budgets before, again, how to construct one, but let's just think about the logic. If you're going to figure out what you need to buy, you need to figure out, again, how many ounces you're going to need. So how about thinking about this? If we're going to make 60,000 bottles, let's go take that and multiply it first by 3 grams of musk oil. Because again, that's what we're going to have to buy to make a bottle of Mink Caress. All right, so 60,000 times 3, that's 180,000 grams. I don't think a gram is very much. That's a very small amount. But anyway, that's going to be 180 grams. Then we're going to have to say, well, that's what we need is 180 grams. But remember, they want an extra 20%. They want to keep an extra 20%. So we're going to have to figure out, well, let's put in the calculation for an extra 20%. And then finally, we're going to have to say, well, if you had an extra 20% you put in, what about beginning inventory? Don't forget that you could have had some extra from last month or quarter. Let's pull that out, because beginning inventories, you've already got them. So that's exactly what I've written down here. Let's take the bottles to produce. Again, let's say bottles to produce is, in this case, 60, 90, 150, and 100. Let's just put those in there. 60,000, 90,000, 150,000. The fourth quarter is 100,000. And then we need to take that times, again, 3 grams. We need to get it into, it's a materials. It's not a production budget of bottles. It's materials that we're going to need. Well, we need ounces per bottle. That actually is all wrong. Everywhere I wrote ounces, we should say grams. Grams per bottle is 3, so we got to multiply all these by 3. And then we'll get ounces needed for production. Once again, that shouldn't be ounces. That should be grams. Grams needed for production. So 3 times 6, that's 180,000 grams. 3 times 9, that's 270,000 grams. 3 times 150 is 450,000 grams. And then 3 grams times 100,000 is 300,000 grams. So that's in grams, but remember, they said we don't want to just, we could stop right there if we didn't want to produce, again, if we were going to sell every bottle that we made and we weren't worried about running out, well, then we'd stop right there. So that's it. That's what we need to buy. But they're saying, well, we're a little bit worried. These aren't perfect. Budgets aren't perfect. So let's put in a little extra just in case. So they say, actually, it's not a little extra. It's a lot extra. They want 20% of the following quarter's production needs. These are the grams needed for production. And they're saying, again, that they want 20% of the following month's production needs. And they're saying they want a desired in the inventory. That's what they're saying. At the end of the quarter, the inventory, see where it says that? The inventory at the end of the quarter has to be 20% of the following quarter's production needs. Let's go to the following quarter. 20% of the following quarter's production, these are the grams needed for production. Production needs 2 times 27, I think that's going to be $54,000, or 54,000 grams, 20%. Let me see here. 20% times 45 is 90,000 grams. 20% times 30 is 60,000 grams. And we don't have the next month, but we do. In year 3, they did give us the first quarter, and it's 70,000. Let's jump out there and do this. 70,000. That was in bottles. And we need 3 grams each bottle, so that's 210,000 grams. And again, that would be the first quarter. That would be the first quarter of the next year 3, force QTR. Well, that again, the fourth quarter of year 2, we're looking to the first quarter of year 3. So we need 20% of 210,000. 20% will, I believe, be 42,000 grams. Now we can add this up, and these are going to be the total, once again that's wrong, the total grams needed, and that's going to be 234,000 grams. This is going to be 360,000 grams. This will be 510,000 grams, and this will be 342,000 grams. And again, we really could do a line here to show this was multiplication. These two were just added, so let's put a line there to let our user know these two were added. Then remember, if you've got ending inventory, then you've got beginning inventory. Remember, the ending inventory for the first quarter, which is right there, is going to become the beginning inventory for the second quarter. You don't want to go out and buy what you already have. So subtract the beginning inventory. You don't need the beginning inventory. You don't need to go buy it. So for the beginning inventory, let's go get that. And let me see here. Okay, the beginning inventory. Well, I don't know the beginning inventory for the first quarter because I don't have the fourth quarter of last year. Actually, I do. You remember, the ending inventory for the fourth quarter of the previous year would have been what? 20% of the next quarter's production. So 2 times 18, it's going to be, the beginning inventory will be 36,000. Remember what we said? If I went back and put a column here, for the fourth quarter of the previous year, we would have used what? 20% to get the inventory. Desired inventory is 20% of the next production. And the next production is 18, so 2 times 18 is 36. That would have been the ending inventory, which becomes the beginning inventory. Then we can actually, these are already done, we've already got the beginning or the ending inventory here, becomes the beginning inventory for the second quarter. The ending inventory of 90,000 becomes the beginning inventory here. Again, second quarter's ending becomes third quarter's beginning. Third quarter's ending becomes fourth quarter's beginning. And now, let's subtract all these. Inventories cause us a lot of problems, as you can see. Remember why we're subtracting this? Don't make what you already have. And the beginning inventory should be there. You actually, ending inventory, you have to build it because you're saying, I need that at the end. I have to build that. but your ending inventory rolls over and becomes your beginning inventory, you should have this in stock. So we're going to subtract it out. I guess, what's 36 from, let me see, I think that's going to be 198,000. By the way, once again, this is not ounces to produce, this is grams. This is grams to purchase. We need 198,000 grams. What about 360 minus 54? I think that's going to be 306,000 grams. 90 from 510 is going to be 420,000 grams. And then 60 from 42, that's going to be 282,000 grams. Okay, so we've got grams to purchase. This is it. That's done. That is now, we need to go get into our purchase contracts for 198,000 grams of musk oil, and we need to do that in the first quarter. Second quarter, we need to go get purchase contracts on 306,000 grams. Well, they do want this to be a materials purchases budget. At this point, this is a materials purchases budget. But we're going to take it really one step further. We'd like to see not just the materials in ounces, but how about let's get the cost. Let's take it to the full distance and do the cost. And what does it say? It's $1.50. Again, the cost is $1.50 per gram. Let me check again just to make sure I'm not running out of tape here. Yeah, I'm not. Okay, so it's $1.50 per gram. We're going to multiply this times $1.50. Each one of these needs to be multiplied by $1.50 to get the cost. The total cost of what we're going to spend. Do you remember that even though we're going to spend that, we're not going to really spend it in cash? Just because you're going to go out and get a purchase contract for this, you may not have to, again, maybe the terms may be that you don't have to pay for 30 or 60 days. So what you buy and what you spend in cash is not going to be the same thing. We're really saying these are the dollar value of the purchase contracts we're going to get into. But it really won't be what we spend in cash because there's a delay. Anyway, oh gosh, I thought I had the answers to this somewhere. No, I'll just multiply. No, I'm not. I don't want to do that math, so let me see here. I do want to check my answers. 198 is right, 306 is right, 420 is right, 282 is right. If you take this times $1.50, you're going to get $297,000. Here you're going to get $459,000. These are in dollars now. This is going to be $630,000. This is 282. That's going to be $423,000. And these should all add up to $1,809,000 for the entire year. This is by quarter, and these again are dollars. If you multiply those out. So now, at this point, the 198, 306, 420, 282, that's your materials purchases budget in grams. Now, by the way, this is not the price per ounce. Doggone it. That is the price per gram. But the price per gram is $1.50. Anyway, now we have a materials purchases budget in dollars. Let's do a total for the year. All right, if we add this up, what is this? 250, 350, that's 400,000. Let's do the fourth quarter in black. 400,000 grams, or these are actually 400,000 bottles of mink caress that we're going to make. And it does take, what, 3 grams per bottle. It takes 3 grams per bottle, so that's going to be 1,200,000 grams, and that will cross foot. Everything will cross foot. Do you remember from earlier problems? Everything will cross foot until we get to inventories. As soon as we get to inventories, they won't cross foot. Do you remember why? Inventories are numbers taken at a point in time. And they're really the same, you can't add them because you'll be double counting. In other words, if I have $1 in the first quarter, and that same dollar makes it to the second quarter, I can't add them together and say I have $2. That's the same dollar. But this is cross-footable. These are really bottles. These are individual bottles I'm going to make. And these are individual grams that I'm going to have to get. So these can all be cross-footed. Now the desired ending inventory for the year 2 total. What's going to be the desired ending inventory of the year? Well, here's the desire. The fourth quarter and the end of the year are one of the same. So it's going to be 42,000. Don't try and cross-foot these. You cannot. They are, again, numbers and points in time. So this gives you 1,242,000. Now, can you cross-foot this? No, you can't cross-foot this either. This will not tie out to 1,242,000 because inside of it are the ending inventories. So you can't cross-foot it. In fact, really, the only ones you can cross-foot are the beginning and the end, because the inventories are not going to, by this time we've done enough computations, they've canceled out. All right, what's the beginning inventory for the year? Well, let's go back to the first quarter, at the very beginning of the year. We want, let's see, the beginning inventory, that's the desired ending inventory. The beginning inventory will be 36,000. So let's pull out 36,000. And at this point, we should pull out the 36,000, and that's going to be 36, 42, that's 6. That's going to be 1,206,000 grams. And that is true. Now they'll cross-foot again. 198, 306, 420, and 282 should tie out to 1,206,000. Once again, we want to know what that costs in dollars, so take it times $1.50. If you do, I hope you get $1,809,000. This is how you prepare a materials purchases budget. And as you can see, you have to have a pretty good understanding of the quantity of what you're going to make, the amount of ounces. Can you see how simple this is, really? We're talking about a product that carries 3 ounces. Think about an automobile that has 7,000 or 8,000 parts in it. Now you can see why you can have a job for the rest of your life if you work in any kind of materials in a plant, because you're not going to be budgeting for 3 ounces into an automobile. You're going to make 60,000 automobiles, and it's going to take 7,000 or 8,000 parts. Well, that's in you know, steel, rubber, tires, plastic, leather for seats. Now you can see this is going to be a massive undertaking to really do a materials purchase budget for a quarter for something like an automobile manufacturer. Anyway, though, I think this is done. Let me see, prepare a materials purchase budget. Now, again, if I said to you, will we really buy $297,000 of musk oil? Yes, we will. We will enter into purchase contracts for that amount. But we won't pay that amount, because usually, remember, we might only pay 30 or 40% in the month. In other words, in this case, it's a quarter. But in the first quarter, we'll only pay 30 or 40% of that amount in that quarter. If you remember, again, we'll pay, you know, maybe 60 or 70% in the following quarter. So while this is the contracts we're going to enter into, this is not the actual flow of cash. Cash always, usually when you're buying things, there's a delay in your cash outflow. When you're selling things, there's a delay of cash receipts. In other words, if you sell it, you don't get your cash really quickly. There's a delay. When you buy it, there's a delay paying it, the money going out. All right, I don't think I have anything else to say about this 8.3. We're going to go on to 8.4, which gets into labor, and that's the last budget we're going to work on, at least for this chapter, for an introduction. All right, let's stop there. Here we go. This will finish up chapter 8. This is the last exercise assigned, exercise 8.4, page 393, and it's another budget. If you notice the pattern, we've really worked through the budgets. First of all, the foundational problem with worked through all the budgets. It really did make it all the way to the budget and income statement and balance sheet. But these big ones, we're not going to go through a big budget for every for all the budgets possible. That would be 10 budgets, and we just don't have time. But we did do a sales budget. Do you remember that? We really did a sales and a collections budget. That was the first problem. The second problem was a production budget. The third budget was a materials purchases budget. And the fourth budget is a direct labor budget. If you see, we're moving logically right down. Do you see that if you figure out what you need to sell, then you figure out what you need to produce. After you figure out what you need to produce, you need the materials and you need the labor. Do you see that we're progressing in a very logical pattern here? This problem is exactly that. It's exercise 8.4. And again, it's a direct labor budget. And this is for a company called the Rorden Corporation. And they have the quarterly forecasted information. And it says, again, they're going to make these, let me see, Rorden Company, actually, let me see, they make, let's say, again, bags of fertilizer. I just made that up. But they make bags, and here's the units they're going to produce. They're going to do 8,000 bags of fertilizer in the first quarter. This is a budget for the upcoming year. They think that they're going to produce 6,500 bags in the second quarter. I guess that's kind of the middle of the summer. Third quarter, fall, they make more. And fourth quarter, 7,500. I have no idea why they need that much fertilizer in the winter, but I just made that up, so it doesn't really make sense. Anyway, units to be produced. We've got that, but they want us to go ahead and do a labor budget. It says each unit requires what? 0.35 direct labor hours. You know, again, these are labor hours. So again, what is 0.35 direct labor hours? Well, I guess we could go over here and say, what is there, 60 minutes in an hour? 35% of that, that's 18 minutes. So 30, that's 21 minutes. In other words, 35% of 60 is 21 minutes. So they're saying each unit requires what? 21 minutes. Now, we don't really need that, but I'm just telling you that's what 0.35 of a direct labor hour is. So anyway. Let's see, and each worker is paid what? $12 per hour, so they each get $12 per hour. So those are the pertinent things we need. All right, these are not as bad. By the way, I don't know if you can tell, but I just erased my other budget that we just done. The one for the perfume, the Mink Caress perfume. Anyway, this is the Rorden Company. It's a direct labor budget. It's for the year by quarter. This is just year one, or they called it the upcoming year, the upcoming fiscal year. And anyway, let's go back and do drop some numbers in. Let's say again that we've got, it says in the first quarter we're going to do what? 8,000 bags of fertilizer. Hey, let's make it so they sell this down south. Maybe they still sell it down in Florida, so they can still keep selling. 8,000 bags of fertilizer. In the second quarter, 6,500 bags of fertilizer. 7,000 bags of fertilizer and 7,500 bags of fertilizer. Now, do you see again that you need that production budget, because you're always going to take what you produce and derive from it what you need to buy in materials and what you need to have for labor. And it makes sense. If you know, I'm going to make this many, I got to have this many people to make it. And we know we can get that very easily because we know it takes 21 minutes to make a bag of fertilizer. So we can multiply that out. Or in this case, about 30% of an hour. So anyway, so this is, again, we're just going to put, this is, let's see, units to produce. And all we're going to do is take those, and you'd guess it, we're going to convert those to hours. So let's take this, hours, let's put this hours needed, and it's 0.35. These are these are units to produce. These are bags. These are bags of fertilizer, bags. And each bag takes what? Let's keep it in hours. We could use minutes, but if we use minutes, then we got to get the minutes and divide by 60 to get back to hours, and we don't want to do that. Let's just keep it at 0.35 hours. So we're going to multiply these each times 0.35 hours. And then we'll have how many hours we need. And let me see, 3 times 8 is 24, 2,800 hours. Okay, and 3 times 6 is 18, 2275 hours. 3 times 7 is 21. That's going to be 2,450 hours. 3 times 7 is 75. That's going to be 2625, 2625. Okay, there you go, that's in hours. So this is the hours needed, 0.35, but this is total hours needed. All right, 28, 2275, 2450, and 26. Now, you might be thinking, hey, Chuck, this looks kind of familiar. We did this on the last one. We took units to produce and multiplied it by how many grams that we needed of musk oil. And this is how many, hours we need for every unit. This looks at total hours needed. Are we going to add desired ending inventory? No. You cannot have ending inventory of human beings. Interestingly enough, you cannot put a human being in a storage cabinet or on a shelf. You cannot store hours. If we could, then many of us would probably say, I'm going to store some of my life for later, but it doesn't work that way. Hours are not storable, so there's no desired ending inventory or beginning or ending inventory, because you cannot have beginning inventory and ending inventory of people, because they cannot be stored, at least thus far in technology. So that's it. We've got the hours needed. Now all we have to do is go back and say, let's multiply those times the cost per hour. So this should be easier. And the cost per hour is $12 per hour. $12 per hour. So take this times 12. Take this times 12 times 12 times 12. And let's see, 2 times 12, that should be $33,600. $33,600. Take 2 times 12, so that's going to be 27,300. That's going to have 29,400. And this is going to be, let's see, 31,500. Okay. Now I suppose you're thinking, oh, he's not too bad at math. But look, I've got an answer sheet right here. Fooled you, I'm not good at math at all. Anyway, so this is going to be the cost of wages. This is going to be the cost of wages by quarter. 33,000, that is the answer actually, by the way, we're done there. We need $33,600. Now these are a little bit different. You're going to pay for these pretty, you might have some delay, but if you're going to, when you purchase people, you have to pay them fairly timely. So there's going to be, I'm not saying that you'll exactly pay $33,600 in cash, but you'll be fairly close to $33,600 in cash, given that paydays are not, they're not delayed that much. Anyway, now let's do this by the quarter, the total for the quarter. Now, can we add all these up? Yes. 8, 6 is 14, 7, 7, this one I do know, 29,000. Okay, so if you add that across, you get 29,000 bags of fertilizer you're going to make. Now, it takes what? 0.35 of an hour to make a bag of fertilizer. And this will cross-foot. There's no inventories in here. So if you add those across, that'll be 10,150. And that's hours. These are hours. Take that times $12 an hour, and you will get 121,800. By the way, these are, of course, these are in dollars. All of these are in dollars. All of these are in bags. These are bags of fertilizer. This is hours, now here. All across here is hours. This is a rate. We pay the men and women $12. And now we've taken hours and converted it into dollars. And there's our quarterly labor that we're going to have to buy. By the way, if you wanted to know, this is not very many people. I guess a man or a woman, just out of curiosity, if you take, what is there, there's 3 months and a quarter. I'm going to go off on a tangent, but not much of one. 3 months and a quarter times what? 4 weeks in a month. So again, that's 12. And then take 12 times, there's 40 hours in a week. 40 hours in a week. 480 hours is one man. or one woman. So how many men or women will you need? Again, one man or one woman working 40 hours a week can produce for you 480 hours. Let's take 2,800 divided by 480. 2,800 divided by 480, is that what I said? You need only 6 people. 6 people in the first quarter to make the fertilizer. That probably makes sense because you know what? You don't need a lot of people to make fertilizer. It's probably, if you go to that plant, it's very automated. You'll probably have more machines than it will people. Now, there is a second part to this. This is part 1, and we are done. Part 1 is done, but they want us to do a part 2. And I think part 2 is kind of interesting. I don't know, I haven't decided if I'll test it or not yet, but here's part 2. It says, in part 2, prepare the company's direct labor budget. They want us to do it again. For the upcoming fiscal year, assuming that I got to cut off here so I have to write these words in. Assuming that the direct labor workforce is not adjusted by quarter. What they mean by that is they don't lay people off. They're saying to you, we're going to give you a guaranteed work week. It's not adjusted. We don't lay people off. We don't have furloughs. And it says instead, assume that the company's direct labor workforce consists of permanent employees who are guaranteed to be paid at least 2,600 hours for each quarter. So they're really saying, these men and women, whoever they are, we guarantee you 2,600 hours, even if you don't work that. If the number required of direct labor hours is less than the 2,600, the workers, is less than the number the workers are paid for 2,600 hours anyway. Any hours worked in excess of 2,600 hours in a quarter are paid at a rate of what? Time and a half. 1.5 times the normal rate. If you do that, 1.5 times, what are they paid? $12? $12, that's going to be $18 an hour they get, okay? So they get $18 an hour. Anyway, does that make sense? If the number of required direct labor hours is less, actually there should be, I think, a 2,600 number right here too. If the number of required direct labor hours is less than 26, the workers are paid for the 2,600 hours. Any hours worked in excess of that, they get paid time and a half. All right, they go ahead and they say, do the budget again. Well, let's really not do the whole budget again. Let's just do some computations. Let's remember again this. We know this, that if they're guaranteed 2,600 hours, all right? If they're guaranteed 2,600 hours, let me adjust my, I don't know if you'll be able to see that totally. I want to adjust it just slightly. But they're guaranteed 2,600 hours, and that's at standard rate of pay. 26 times, wasn't it $12 an hour? Is that what they got? Yeah, $12 an hour. That should be about $30,000. Let me see here. That should be, $31,200. $31,200. So do you see this is their guarantee. They're guaranteed 2,600 hours times $12 an hour, and they're guaranteed $31,200. So let's just look. Some of these are going to be very easy because take a look at the second quarter. They're only going to work $22.75, but they're guaranteed to get what? They're guaranteed to get 26. So I can tell you the budget for, again, the second one is going to be $31,200. You see? It doesn't, again, they're going to work less, but they're guaranteed 26, so they're going to get the $31,200. How about this one? This one, they're going to work $24,050, but they're guaranteed 26. This answer will be the same, $31,200. How about this one? $2,625. Well, they're going to work the standard, which means they're going to work $31,200, but they're going to work 25 hours extra, you see? So let's just take that, I guess we can take 25, and that's going to be times $18 an hour. You remember? I said, $12, time and a half is $18. So 25 times 18, that's going to be $450. That's equal to 450. That's the overtime. So that's going to be, whoops, $31,650. And that's for the fourth quarter. Let's just put a 4 there, a 3 there, a 2 there. So we've got it. Fourth quarter, we're going to pay $31,650. There's the standard. Again, the standard rate of pay, they guarantee him 2,600 hours every month. The standard pay for 26 is $12. Everybody's guaranteed 31.2. We know they're going to get 31.2 because they're underneath. You know, again, they're only going to work 22.75, but they'll get their guarantee of 31,200. Here, we know they're going to get 31.2. They're below it. Here, they're going to work 25 hours extra. 25 hours extra, they get $18. That's going to be $450 plus 31.2. There's 31,650. Let's go back to this first row. Here, they're working 2,800 hours. Well, again, that's 200 hours extra. You see? Over the 26. 200 hours, they get $18 an hour. That should be, 2 times 18 is $3,600, or that's going to be $3,600. Then they're going to get their 31,200 base. That's for their standard 2,600 hours. So this should be what? 34,800? Yes, 34,800. So there we have, there's our first quarter, 34.8, second quarter, 31.2, third quarter, 31.2, fourth quarter, 31,650. And if we want to total these up, we can say the total for the year will be, I don't know what that comes out to be, let me see, 128,850. And I don't know if I want to do a cross-foot on this. I suppose we could. Let's just go up. We've got all the hours right here. We can say that the total hours are 10,150. 10,150. Really, the math won't work out. The reason the math won't, if you take 10,150 times 12, you will not get that. Yeah, you can't cross-foot that. I don't really care. I'm not going to, yeah, we really can't cross-foot these because there's some complex math in here. So the bottom line is that you can just use the 128 50, and that will work out fine. I guess you could. No, let's just leave it at that. I think that's the only thing I would say is that it is nice to know that, again, this has 2 components. There is a component here of what? There's overtime and there's overtime. So we could, if I was going to do anything, I might put another title here. I'd put, again, total, wages as a label down here, total wages, and then I put maybe standard, STD standard pay, and then I put overtime. And the overtime is, in this case, 36. 36 and 450. So your total overtime is going to be $4,050. Your standard pay, we could write that down again like this. The standard pay is 31.2 every month. 31.2 every month. Move this down here. 31.2 every month. And then that'll be 124,800. So this way, you could tell people, here's my overtime that I'm going to pay. Here's my standard wages. I hope that adds up to 128,850. It does. That'd be how I do the secondary budget. Just showing overtime and showing standard pay. But that's really a labor budget. And that ends chapter 8. On the test, I'm pretty sure, which budget will I pick? I'm almost positive my highest priorities number is the exercise 8-1. I really want to do 8.1 because it's going to have a cash budget. I really like that. Everybody should know about cash, I think, and how cash flows and there's a delay. My second highest priority would be exercise 8.2. That was a production budget. Actually, if you ask me my preference, they would actually go exactly the way we worked them. Starting with exercise 8.1 being my highest choice, 8.2 being my second choice, 8.3 a little lesser, and 8.4 my least favorite choice. Just because I really feel like this one's easier. I feel like working with labor because you don't have the ending inventories. But anyway, that's probably what I'll do on the test is my first choice will be a production budget. And I think we're done with this chapter. Now remember, we're moving from this chapter, chapter 8, we skip chapter 9, we skip chapter 10, I think we skip chapter 11, and we go all the way to chapter 12. I think we skip all the way up to chapter 12, which is decision making, using costs to make decisions. And that's a really good chapter. I hope we can squeeze it in before the end of the year. Chapter 12 and 13 are really great. I don't know, we'll be close. Anyway, jump to chapter 12 though, remember that. Okay, let me shut down.